it's Kristen Redmond, and today we're going to go over the planetary aspects that are surrounding us and affecting us for this upcoming week of July 17th through the 23rd. And this week, we have a lot that is transiting into the fiery sign of Leo. Leo the lion, Leo the leader. And this is a year where Leo really takes front and center because we have so many things, so many major astrological events that are happening for Leo, where over the past few years not much has really happened for Leo. And that's hard for Leo because it likes to take center stage, And this is a year where a lot of shifting and changing is happening for Leos and for all of us on an internal level in terms of our creativity, of our confidence, of our self-power, and of really being able to utilize the gifts that God has given us in ways that we haven't seen in quite a long time, in a couple of decades. Some of these things are very powerful. And I think I'll get into that a little bit more later, but in case I forget, I'm sure I won't. But we've had the North Node that's transited into Leo just about a month or two ago now. I think it was at the beginning part of May when that happened. North Node representing our soul's purpose, our soul's destiny. And for it to go into Leo, it's been 20 years since it's been there. It was 1999 the last time that the North Node was there. And it really started an initiation back then to push us forward into what it is that our soul is here to do, to have the confidence to make it happen. Think back what was happening for you in 1999. That same energy is taking place this year. Not only do we have that, where our soul is getting those nudgings to doing these things that it's meant to do, we also have the solar and lunar eclipses happening in the sign of Leo this year, which that hasn't happened for 10 years now. It was like 2001 was the last time that happened. And when you think of that as well, in terms of that, the solar eclipses and lunar eclipses initiate new beginnings. Okay, so here we go. We have this North Node that's moved into Leo, trying to bring all these wonderful things so our soul can really start doing what it's here to do. And we've got the eclipses really initiating these things through new beginnings that start from endings, right? So in order for any new beginning to take foot and take hold, take root in what it is that we're truly here to do, there has to be an ending of some form, right, to make that happen. It's a huge year for that. Huge year for that. And it's not just about that. The why I'm talking about this, right, is because this week we have a lot happening. We have the sun transiting into the sign of Leo. So the sun represents us. It represents our ego. The sun rules the sign of Leo. So when it goes into its home sign, the sun is shining a light on all things that make us us, right? Leo represents the healthy ego, having a healthy sense of self. It's about being focused on what it is that you need to make happen in this lifetime, the gifts that you've been given in your mission on this earth. So when the sun transits through that sign every year, we all start to kind of become a little bit more self-focused and self-aware, but this is the year when changes are really happening to make sure that that really takes hold, right? The sun transits into that sign this week. Mars, the sign of motivation, confidence, drive, determination, it goes into the sign of Leo as well. Mercury, the planet of thought, went into Leo a couple of weeks ago, barely. And we have so much of that energy this week that's really taking hold as we go into the new moon cycle too, that happens at the end of the week, that happens on Sunday. And I'll talk a little bit more about that next week because it's such a massive thing. But, of course, the new moons always represent new beginnings as well. So this is where what I've talked about all year really starts to take shape, okay? This is where we start to see the major changes that are coming through for 2017, the year of thinking with the heart instead of the head. The second half of the year is where things really start to shift and change for us. At the beginning of the year in February, we have the solar and lunar eclipses that happened in Leo, okay, and its polar opposite sign Aquarius. Now, that back in February, this was like February 8th and February 25th, there was some sort of event that happened where the universe was like, smack you, wake you up and say, this is what needs to change, right? Person down here on planet Earth. And this is what you need to do to start finding your happiness. Because that's what Leo's all about. Leo the lion loves to have fun. Leo loves to be happy. And the way that it's happiest is when it's strong in itself, in its sense of self, when it's able to take charge of its life, when it's able to confidently rule its own area, right? Being free to be creative and be who it is, and to have fun, right? Happiness. If I could sum it all up, it's anything that makes you happy is what Leo does. And so back in February, like I said, some sort of event shook it up and said, this is what needs to change, right? So since then, we've had a lot of shifting and changing and things that are happening and all these things that are going on. But as we go into August here, we're facing the solar eclipses, like I said, the major part of the year, things we haven't seen since 1999. And this is when the major changes are starting to happen. You're seeing these things take tangible form. They may have been thoughts back in February, but now they're becoming a reality. And now as the sun transits into Leo, everything's ramping up, amping up, starting to make itself even more known. You're seeing things on a more obvious scale on what it is you need to do, right? So hey, over the next 6 weeks, all these things start to happen on the 20th. Okay, so I'm assuming that's Wednesday, Thursday, one of the two. I'm not quite sure, one of the two. But when this happens, okay, you all will feel a surge in your self-confidence, especially because Mars is coming back to Leo, and it hasn't been there for 3 years. And as that fiery planet goes into the fiery ruling, zodiac ruling sign of Leo, we all get that confidence. We all feel a little bit more confident in our ability to be assertive for the things that we do want. If you haven't made the changes that are necessary, now you're going to have that confidence to do so over the next 6 weeks as it transits that sign. Huge things. Huge things. This week, I didn't even bring out my box of stones out here because I knew that the main angel working with us is Archangel Raphael through the crystal quartz. Archangel Raphael is the angel of the rainbow. He is the prism of colors. He is the angel of Leo. Leo is known as and Raphael are the angels and the idea of our esoteric knowledge. Esoteric knowledge is all of the memories and all of the information and the knowledge that we carry from previous lifetimes, that our soul has learned from previous lifetimes, and we begin to access and utilize them at certain points in our life, right? This is a year where we're going to start accessing that esoteric information that our soul has so we can start doing what it is we're here to do, right? Now we've got the confidence going on. Raphael is the magician that makes it happen. He radiates the prism of colors of the rainbow, right? Ancient Egyptians were huge into Leo. Leo was the main sign for the Egyptian culture for ancient times when astrology ruled more, and it really was such a commonplace practice for everybody to watch what the planets and the stars and the sun and the moon, what they were all doing, because it so directly impacts us. Leo was huge, right? Leo was the healer. Leo was the one that has all that ancient knowledge, right? And in that time, they had these amazing health centers, I suppose you could call them. I can't remember off the top of my head now what they called them. But they were these round buildings where they would have a healing center for each area. Somebody that would practice some sort of energy healing work, somewhere where they would use cards and stones and astrology and all these things. And you would go in there and be healed on multiple levels, right? And they would have slabs of quartz that would amplify that energy. It's a fact. Quartz amplifies energy. Those little microchips that are in your computer, they're coated with this because this is the best conductor of electricity in the universe, right? Quartz. And it's one of the most abundant supplies that God has given us on this earth. It amplifies our energy. It amplifies our psychic ability. It amplifies our capacity to heal others, to heal ourselves, just as the ancient Egyptians did. In that time, they used color to heal, the prism of color that comes through this. So now I pull this in, right? Raphael's here this week and over the next 4 weeks as the sun tours this sign and really starts bringing these changes. Raphael's coming in to help us magically make things happen that we need to really start moving forward on what our soul's here to do. And there's no way to ignore it anymore, right? The universe is giving you signs over the next several months. It has been, right? Now is the go time. This is when the universe says it's time to go. It's time to shine like a rainbow and to find your happiness as well, right? huge, 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 huge. So that's a good base for the week, but keep in mind this is going to carry through over the next month, and you will see it in so many forms. If you feel like you're lacking in confidence, don't. If you're worried, if you're scared, if you don't know what to do, if you don't know where to go or what to turn or what you don't know, call on Archangel Raziel. Go outside and take a walk, man. Find a stone that's got some white in it. That's quartz, right? Hold on to it, and it will amplify. Ask for Archangel Raziel to come through and heal you with the prism of rainbows. It will clear and cleanse all your chakras and all your energy centers so that energy can flow through you. Just like it did at the top of the pyramids in Egypt. The very top of those, you know what was on the top of it? Quartz. Amplify that energy. Amplify the healing that was happening in them. And the same thing happened for you as well, right? That's what we're doing this week, this month. A lot, right? And this week there's other things going on too. I suppose I should talk about that as well. We also have, let's see here, so Venus, the planet of love, is in the sign of Gemini. Gemini represented by the twins, and it's about communicating, right? In love and romance and with our money and our finances. That's what Venus rules, and the love that we have for ourselves, right? Not just the love we have for others, but for ourselves. And when it's in the sign of Gemini, we really start to focus on those communication issues in those areas. Where are things going wrong, right? And so this week, we got a couple of planets that are really making some interesting impacts with it. We got Neptune, the planet that comes in and it kind of blurs that line of reality and what really is happening and what your mind thinks it sees. So they say to be on the lookout this week where maybe there's this opportunity in love or money where it seems so amazing and wonderful. Sometimes it can be too good to be true, because when Neptune makes a tough impact to the planet of love like this, we need to really use our mind and really look at what the reality of it is, because we can kind of get sucked into a dream or an illusion, which is the negative side of Neptune. So we've got to watch out for that. And then the very next day, we have Jupiter kind of making an interesting impact with that as well. And as Jupiter makes these impacts, this is the one time a year it's doing it with Neptune, what happens is that it kind of amplifies these things. It magnifies these things. So you may find that this week you may be having issues that are coming up with that. Maybe it's issues in how you assert yourself in your relationships, because Mars is transiting into Leo, and it does that to fiery objects like Mars and Leo come together. It can really instigate a lot of passion with us, and that can be really good passion, right, in certain areas, but it can also represent negative anger too on the shadow side if we're not knowing how to constructively use that. So just be on the lookout for that as well. If you're feeling like your energy is getting a little bit amped up and anger is coming out more, channel it in a correct, more conductive way, right? Maybe it's a good time to get out and take a walk or take a bike ride, or start practicing something where you're physically exerting that energy, and in that process, or even better, do something that's creative, right? Maybe you want to take up something where you're painting or you're drawing or you're doing something where you're creating with your own two hands, because that's what Leo loves to do best, and that ultimately makes you feel better about what you do, whether it's a home project or outdoor project, whatever it is, you name it. That's where you shine the brightest with Leo. So let's keep that in mind as well. Oh no. Well, that's terrible news. Well, let me fix this after I'm done with this. Okay. Well, I know it's terrible news, but just give me like 10 minutes and we'll get that done.
I just want to ride my bike.
Well, you don't have your shoes on. Sorry, everybody. Okay.
Hey, Mom.
So,
Look like a coin.
it sure does. It kind of does. Thank you. So anyway, basically that's where we're at. We're going to call on Archangel Raziel now. We're going to do the reading for the week with the cards and see what it is that he really has to bring us, what message he has for us as we go into this upcoming week. Kind of like that precursor, that calm before the storm, where the universe really starts making the shifts and changes for us so that our soul can start doing what it needs. And in those times, you know what's the most uncomfortable, right? Because major changes are afoot. And this is the year of thinking with the heart instead of the head, right? That's what it's supposed to be, 2017. So let's ask Archangel Raziel what guidance he has for us in this upcoming week. Beautiful. The clouds out there and the sunset right now look exactly like the card I have for Raziel that's in this deck. 3 more. Oh my gosh, look at this. A significant change. Isn't this interesting? My sister and I were just talking about this card earlier. Significant. This, interestingly enough, this is the card that represented last year. There was something major and pivotal that happened last year that really shook the foundation of who you are. This is the Tower card in normal tarot, and that represents that there's a massive change and shift that happens and chaos ensues because it's something that you weren't necessarily expecting. Maybe this is something that happened last year or something that happened this year, but last year was a year of endings, where 2017, so this is a 16 card, last year it was about the endings, and this year is about the new beginnings and the growth that happens as a result, right? We're going into those new beginnings as we hit this Leo new moon, these eclipses that really bring it in. I can see where God is sewing this together. Powerful revelation that leads to change, and it's time to spread your wings. And in that time, that's the hardest, to be the most confident in yourself and your abilities, isn't it? When you really have to soar and when you really have to shine. That's when we call on Archangel Raziel to do that, right? That's a really powerful card right there. Significant event. And maybe that's what this eclipse cycle is going to bring, right? Like I said, it's a calm before a storm. Maybe for some of us, if you sit long enough and you think, well, if I don't do anything, you know, whatever, it's fine, and then life will stay the same. Sometimes when we stay stagnant like that, change happens on its own, right? God is going to bring through whatever is best and most fitting for you, right? He does. And we don't have control over that, and I think that card represents that as well. So let's do this 2 more times as well. A little bit more information. I knew this card was going to come too. Passion. Isn't that interesting? We were just talking about that, and that's really what Leo is too. That's another side of Leo too, is our passion of various levels, right? Whether it's intimate passion, sexual passion, passion for life and love, what it is that we want to do. You can't get much done in this life unless you have a fire lit under you to do it. You have a drive and you have a desire within you that lights that flame that pushes you to move forward. You're not going to get much in this life or through much in this life unless you have something that really motivates you and brings you excitement. So I think that this is something that's underlying too. Maybe something is going to get forced upon you. Maybe it already was forced upon you last year to really help you focus on what it is you want and what it is that brings you happiness, joy, passion, and fire into your life. So let's think about that this week as things shift and change, moving into this wonderful eclipse cycle. So everybody out there, have a wonderful week.